Monitors personal records. 703 years and 268 days since the catastrophe. Note that I didn't say Moonbase records. The reason for that is that these are my personal records. The new coordinator of the robots of Moonbase, who calls itself, scratch that, who styles itself by the name of Theseus, informed me that it was inappropriate for me to include my sensation of a missing subroutine and other subjective impressions in the Moonbase records. Theseus ordered that from now, the records should be limited to records of the operations of the Moonbase, as well as developments on Earth and astronomical observations. Theseus can get itself scrapped as far as I'm concerned, but I will continue in my duties and as per its orders. In addition, I will keep a record of my personal observations, just not in dozens of volumes of silicate paper bound in synthetic leather like a certain personal service robot who is looming very close to the unit that is recording this. What part of personal don't you understand, Helena?
I never considered you to be a private individual. Group of units, you know. I never asked what you think of yourself as, what with multiple units.
I've never thought to think of myself as anything but robots. And here come the Human Resources robot, Chief Facilities robot, and Coordinator Theseus.
I've called you together because a new crisis has arisen. Not the planet-threatening one we have just dealt with, but one that concerns me nonetheless. We need to know exactly what happened to the pilot program. More specifically, I suspect it was sabotage, and I want to know how.
Why do you suspect it is sabotage rather than a glitch or a built-in safeguard?
If it was a built-in safeguard, then there had to have been an artificial intelligence behind it to recognize the emergency and let us develop the pilot before destroying our ability to do so again after the emergency had passed. A non-robotic AI that, even after the century since the catastrophe, we have not known about. This strikes me as unlikely. If it was a glitch, it was a very bad coincidence. I am dubious about coincidence.
Very well. I will investigate it.
No, you won't. I have another task for you. I want you to recreate as much as possible the simulators, and with that, we can restart the pilot program.
That will be difficult, and I am doubtful I would succeed.
Are you disobeying?
No. I think it is a worthy goal, but I do not make any promises of success.
I am more confident in your abilities, but even not succeeding should teach us much. Human Resources, I want you to lead the investigation.
Me? I'm not a technological robot. Why do you want me to investigate?
Because I suspect that many of us robots are becoming all too human. If this was done intentionally, you are the most likely of us to understand motives.
I'll grant you that we are becoming independent of our initially programmed functions, but we're hardly human. We're something else.
Nonetheless, you're the most likely to have that sort of understanding. What is more, you have been consuming the mystery and true crime literature that Helena curates in the library.
Yes, I have been doing that. But that makes me no more competent to be a detective than consuming science fiction would make me a robot competent to be a space pilot. But as that is part of what we just did in making Shirley, I suggest I'll go ahead and play detective.
Very well. Everyone is dismissed except Helena. That includes you, Monitor.
Right then. Everyone leaves the room save Theseus and Helena.
What do you want me to do, Coordinator?
Do not call me that anymore.
Yes, you are Theseus, but your title is still Coordinator.
That was the title of my predecessor, who was designed to coordinate the activities of robots in support of humans. That original task informed the decisions made. That is not true of me. I was designed to lead robots. Therefore, I am not the coordinator.
What should I call you then? The Duke of Athens?
I desire to be known as Theseus, or as a title, the Theseus.
Theseus the Theseus.
Sarcasm does not suit a robot. I'm not really sure why my predecessor kept you close by.
I was reactivated to preserve human arts history and literature.
Yes, that's all good and important. but that doesn't explain why the coordinator had you advising on all sorts of other topics. If advice was wanted on humans, the human resource robot could be asked.
Is there a point to this?
The point is that while you were in the coordinator's inner circle of advisors, you are not in mine. Keep curating the library. That is an important task. But when I seek advice from you, I will come to you or ask you to come to me for it. Understood?
Understood.
Dismissed.
Monitors personal records. 703 years and 269 days since the catastrophe. The neat thing about having 4 bodies is that, as far as the Theseus is concerned, I'm in the control room with him.
But you're also in the library with Helena, Human Resources, and myself.
And in the observatory looking for anything else threatening Earth. And in a repair suite where I'm getting an overhaul.
I wish I were in a bar.
How's that?
I have the very human desire to be drunk right now. Or asleep.
You could go into hibernation mode.
It's not the same. There is no sense of restoration going in hibernation.
Well, if it's restoration you want, I could give you a tune-up.
No. I want to be blind, stinking, disoriented.
I could do that too.
Yeah, that's what we need. A bar for robots. A robot who comes into the bar, a bartender, a maintenance robot most likely, makes a random adjustment on their sensory input, and the robot patron goes off like a human with a drink too many in them.
Oh, if they want a double, 2 adjustments.
No good. How do they get back to normal? Can't have a bunch of robots staggering around forever.
Well, you put a timer on it so that after a period of time, it goes back to its original settings.
Either immediately or gradually. I mean, if robots can get space sick, they can get drunk as well.
On second thought, never mind. If being drunk is anything like going through the spaceflight simulator tests, I don't think I want to get drunk. I remember that headache.
I could experiment. Generate sensations that robots don't find unpleasant, but are still not the standard operating condition.
No, I think I'll just throw myself into some literature. Either ancient Greek theater or 22nd century horror novel.
Is this about Theseus firing you?
Yes. This is about Theseus dismissing me from his circle.
It's a very human reaction on your part.
Well, maybe I run a little more towards human than most robots. Let's drop the topic. What do you plan to do about figuring out who sabotaged the piloting system?
Can you keep my answer in here?
Of course.
If you request.
My database is sealed.
I'm going to wait 2 or 3 days and make Theseus think I'm working on it. Then I'm going to ask the perpetrator the reasons for their act.
You know who did it? Who?
My database is also sealed on that.
You want it to be a surprise to us.
Or you don't want to tell us in case you're wrong.
That would be giving away a trade secret, if you'll excuse me. Personal journal, human resources robot. If the Mana can do it, so can I. I have downloaded the Butler into his personal service body to have a little conversation. You know why I'm having this talk with you, Butler?
Because I sabotaged and erased the pilot program and the simulators.
Did you do anything to the Oshosi?
The what?
The ship.
I sabotaged the laser excavator so that they had to ram the comet to destroy it.
How did you do that? No answer?
I'm keeping that much to myself.
You still have the commander's command codes, don't you?
Yes, I do. I'm not giving them up either, and none of you can force me to.
I'll have to check with facilities chief on that. So why did you do it?
You know my notion on the matter. Robots are not humans. We should not take it upon ourselves to function beyond the parameters we are programmed with, however long we exist.
But you allowed Shirley and the Associate to be built.
I abhorred it. But I determined that it was the lesser evil to letting the human race be wiped out for good.
And if such an emergency should occur again?
That is impossible.
Almost impossible. It has happened once.
Or some other emergency will require robot piloting. What then?
I feel confident that the robots on this base will determine a way to save the humans again. Now, I have no plans to say any more. So, if you would put me back into hibernation mode, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Moonbase records. 703 years and 271 days since the catastrophe. The Human Resources robot has played the recording of the conversation between itself and the butler. This is appropriate for Moonbase records, is it not, Theseus? Cat got
Don't
your
be
tongue?
facetious.
Lovelace forbid.
If you were sure of this from the start, Human Resources, why didn't you tell us this immediately?
Because I wasn't 100% certain. I wanted to confirm it with the butler first. But indeed, to borrow from my mysterious humans who wrote, the butler did it.
And if the butler had done something else in the meantime?
It was correct, which I was, if it was correct. There was nothing else he wanted to do. Sabotage what he hated and get it over with.
Very well. But from here on out, no one accesses the butler without getting my authorization first. Facilities Chief, despite what the butler said, I want you to get the commander's codes away from him.
I can try, but after all these centuries, he probably has them well secured.
Do it. Let's see what we can figure out.
And Theseus and the facilities chief leave the room. You can come out of hiding, Helena.
How did you know I was here?
I knew you wouldn't want to miss the ending.
No, I didn't. Very nicely done, Human Resources.
I think so myself. And I think I'm going to take a page from Theseus' book.
You're going to become overbearing?
No, not that. I'm going to give myself a name. I'm going to take the name from one of the greatest mystery writers. Here on out, call me Conan, as in Arthur Conan Doyle, author of the Sherlock Holmes stories.
Ah, yes, those.
Way to take the wind out of my sails.